Good morning, geometry. Today we're talking about deductive reasoning, and specifically we're going to be talking about what we call the law of detachment. The law of detachment means deductive reasoning is the process of using facts, rules, definitions, or properties to reach conclusions. All right, so this is really important because when you reach conclusions, it's not how we feel. It's not we don't make conclusions off of emotions. We make them off of facts, and we make them off of rules. And so this is actually something that's very good for you for life. This is actually a life lesson. So when your boyfriend or girlfriend's upsetting you, you have to make your decisions and discernments off of facts, not feelings. Facts over feelings, guys. Remember that. So one form of deductive reasoning that draws conclusions from a true conditional. P implies Q. Remember, we talked about that. P arrow Q means P implies Q. A lot of times we say if P, then Q. And a true statement P is called the law of detachment. So I'm going to read this one more time. One form of deductive reasoning that draws conclusions from a true conditional, P implies Q, and a true statement P is called the law of detachment. So the law of detachment says if P implies Q is true and P is true, then Q is true. So think about that. If P implies Q is true, and then we say if P is true, then the whole statement is true. That's called the law, or P implies, or then Q is true. That's called the law of detachment. So example, here we have determine whether each conclusion is valid based on the given information. If not, write invalid. Explain your reasoning. So given, two angles supplementary to the same angle are congruent. Angle A and angle C are supplementary to angle B. Conclusion, angle A is congruent to angle C. So we have to remember supplementary angles means that they're two angles that add up to 180, not percent, 180 degrees. So supplementary angles add up to 180 degrees. So if two angles are supplementary to the same angle, then the other two angles have to be congruent. That's what this is saying. So we have angle B is right here. It's GBF. So that's angle B. And what it's saying is angle A, which is right here, I'll highlight angle A in green. Angle A is congruent to angle B. That means that they have to add up to 180 degrees. So angle B plus angle A equals 180 degrees. That's part of our statement. Angle B plus angle A equals 180 degrees. They are telling us they are two supplementary angles. Now they're also throwing in angle C here. So angle C, so if we were to cross out angle A and say forget about angle A, we're looking at angle B and angle C. And so they are complementary. So that means angle B plus angle C also adds up to 180 degrees. So the conclusion is that angle A is congruent to angle C. So if we look at this, let's cross out what we have in common in both of these equations. I have an angle B up here, I have an angle B here. I have 180 degrees here, 180 degrees here. The only thing left is angle A and angle C. And for both of those equations to be this equal and to work, angle A has to equal angle C, which is the definition of congruence. So the statement angle A is congruent to angle C that they gave here, right? The two angles supplementary to the same angle are congruent. The conclusion, angle A is congruent to angle C, that's the statement. Angle A and angle C are supplementary to B, is the hypothesis of the conditional. Therefore, by the law of detachment, the conclusion is true. So all you're doing is you're trying to determine whether or not the conclusion that you're given is true based on the conditional P implies Q. Now, part B, if Helen is going to work then she is wearing pearls. Helen is wearing pearls. So the conclusion, Helen is going to work. So the conclusion, so think about this. This is all logical. It has to do with thought. If Helen is going to work, then she is wearing pearls. So what that is saying, every time Helen goes to work, she is wearing pearls. Okay, so we know that to be true. That's P, if Helen is going to work, then Q, she is wearing pearls. But this isn't saying P is true. This is saying Q is true. Helen is wearing pearls is Q. Okay, so P implies Q. We have Q, but does Q necessarily imply P? Helen is going to work. No, it doesn't. Helen could be going to the movies. Helen could be going to a dance. She could be going to a fancy dinner. So she could be wearing pearls everywhere. All this tells me is every time she goes to work, she wears pearls. It doesn't tell me that she doesn't wear pearls any other time. So this is not valid. This is no valid conclusion. That says no valid conclusion. Good luck reading that. So P implies Q. Q, it violates the law of detachment. So we're going to go ahead and do a couple examples together. And then I'm actually going to give you guys the work, but you guys still have to submit your work on your own, and you're going to have to write it out in your own words still. So given, if a number is divisible by 6, then the number is divisible by 3. So P, if the number is divisible by 6, Q, the number is divisible by 3. The statement 18 is divisible by 6. So which one determines the P? P or Q? Is this 18 is divisible by 6? Is that P, which is divisible by 6, or is that Q, which is divisible by 3? Well, it's P, divisible by 6. So we have P implies Q, and then the statement P. So that would mean that our conclusion must be Q. 18 is divisible by 3. That's Q. So P implies Q, P, then Q. So this is valid. And why is it valid? Because of the law of the, I'm going to write this as a text actually. Valid law of detachment. So that's your answer. And we'll write that in, right? So there you go. That was valid because of the law of detachment. The next one. If a pet is a rabbit, and I like to get into the habit of labeling these P and Q. So if is our P, a pet is a rabbit, then Q, and I'll put this in a different color, maybe that helps. Then it eats carrots. So P is if a pet is a rabbit, Q is then it eats carrots. Jenny's pet eats carrots. So which one of them, so eats carrots, is that a P statement or a Q statement? Well, that's a Q statement. So we already know the law of detachment says if P then Q is true, and P is true, then Q. But they didn't give us P is true. They gave us Q is true. So the conclusion, Jenny's pet is a rabbit, is that valid? Well, think about it. Jenny's pet is a rabbit. This is invalid. And remember, whenever we say it's invalid, we have to give a counterexample. So the counterexample is Jenny's pet Jenny could have a pet horse. A pet horse. She could have a pet dog. She could have my dogs like carrots. I don't know if any cats eat carrots, but could have a cat if a cat eats carrot. Whatever animal eats carrots, Jenny could have that animal as a pet. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a rabbit. Now, if the statement here, right there, if the statement here was Jenny's pet is a rabbit, and the conclusion was if we change these and it said Jenny's pet is a rabbit, then we can conclude Jenny's pet eats carrots. That would have been true. That would have been valid. So that's all we're doing. We're trying to put these things together. So if a hen is a Plymouth Rock, which a Plymouth Rock hen it's a type of hen. All right. So if a hen is a Plymouth Rock, that's our P, then her eggs are brown. That's a Q. So this is saying the Plymouth Rock hen lays brown eggs. Berta is a Plymouth Rock hen. So Berta is being a Plymouth Rock hen, that's saying that it's a P. So P is true. So this says if P then Q, P is true, so then Q must be true. And Berta's eggs are brown. If Berta is a Plymouth Rock hen, Berta's eggs are brown. So that's true. If P then Q and P is true, Berta's eggs are brown, the conclusion is true. So this is valid. And we would say valid law of detachment. Valid law of detachment. So there you have it, guys. Deductive reasoning, especially with the law of detachment. Good luck. If you watch the videos, you guys should be doing fine. So message me if you need some help. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.